Starting Tech News Weekly in 3, 2, 1.
Hey everybody, welcome to Tech News Weekly. I'm your host, Andrew Zarian. Of course, with me is my tag team partner, my co-host, the guy that does all the show notes, John Bubb. How you doing, John?
I'm in studio again.
I know. You're living here now.
I know. I've taken over Coco's spot. I hope he doesn't get mad.
How is it like living in the Zarian compound?
Oh God, I'm just so glad that you let me out from the basement now.
Yeah.
Thank God for that, because after 3-4 years of living in the basement, not being able to come up here, even to do a show, that was just so wrong.
Yeah, well, I think Freddie's moved down there, so now you've moved up. You're in the outhouse.
Thank God.
From what is it saying? From the outhouse to the penthouse.
Practically.
I'm practically in the outhouse now. John has taken over. But this is a show where we talk about technology, talk about the tech news, talk about what we're using, anything that has to do with tech. Before we used to make the show primarily just the tech news, where we read the tech news, we analyze the tech news. But I think, adding a little personality to it goes a long way. We talk about products that we're using. We talk about things that are happening in technology. Something that I wanted to talk about before we get into the tech news is my pick of the week this week. I had initially thought I would have this device as my pick of the week. Now, what is this device, you ask? Well, this device, this little plastic thing, it's called the Sidecar. If you guys could look it up. I wonder if I could pull up a video of it. The Sidecar.
Everybody Google Sidecar now.
I'm trying to see if I can find the website. It's the Sidecar iPad. Let's see if I can pull up the pad. I can't write. So what this thing does is that it attaches your iPad to your computer. So if I could pull up, it was a Kickstarter that I funded. Here's the website. So they show that, it attaches and you attach, it clips on, and they have different ones and they have different versions of it. And I funded this thing like 2.5 years ago. Well, I finally got it. I paid like $35 for it, and the thing doesn't work. Let me show you when I try to unscrew it. This is what it does.
What the heck?
It barely unscrews, and when you attach it to the... Let me see if I could do this. When you attach it, it actually puts so much pressure on the screen where you could see, like, it's almost like, when you bend like an LCD screen?
Yeah.
And what happens? That's what it's like. It's like bending an LCD screen. This thing is awful.
Ripples.
This thing is so bad. I don't know why anybody would use this thing. They have much better ones. And I started looking into them. I'm like, I wonder if there's another one. There's actually something called like the Spider, where it clips at the top and bottom. And then the thing like attaches to the back. It like suctions on the back and it holds it up. It actually works really well. This thing is awful. And it's a lesson to be learned about Kickstarter. This is the second product that I funded on Kickstarter, the second product that I've received, and it is awful.
You have really bad choices on Kickstarter.
You know what's funny? They look really cool. Like the concept that I could, and the reason why I got it is that I'm like, okay, I could take this thing, I could attach it to the screen, I could have the IRC chat room there, and I could have, I could have the rest screen real estate on the rest. You could even use stuff like a remote desktop where you could extend your screen to the iPad. I was like, okay, something like that's cool. Unfortunately, this thing doesn't work. Someone says, can't you use a stand? Yeah, I could use a stand. I thought something like this would be cool. This is just awful. And the point of the story is, backing these products on Kickstarter, there's a reason why a major corporation has not backed it. 90% of the time. I'm sure there's that small percentage that does really well on Kickstarter, and there's, they end up doing really well with it. This is not one of them. The other product that I got, that LED light BS that I ordered, was not one of them. Just be careful. It may look cool, but the odds are it's garbage. Hey, you talking about Kickstarter. Did you see the Reading Rainbow Kickstarter, John?
Yes,
Something
was
like that's cool.
fascinating.
You know what? Something like that is really cool. It's something from my childhood. Anybody that's in their 30s at this point grew up with reading Rainbow. The thing was on the air for years, and they got canceled.
Up until 2009 is when it got canned from PBS or whatever station it was on.
Why did they get canned? I'm curious because it was one of the better known brands that they had.
I don't really remember. It was just one of those things where, all right, well, they're just done with it. I think they just got bored with it or something. But it's just one of those things. It's like Sesame Street. It's been around for so long, you don't cancel it.
Yeah.
But LeVar Burton has started I think it was a Kickstarter. Am I correct?
Yeah. It's a Kickstarter.
And within the first 24 hours, they've raised over $1 million.
So when I saw it when they initially launched it, it was not at $1 million. It was like $600,000.
Mm-hmm.
And they had like 30 days to launch $1 million, which is plenty of time to reach the goal if they were going to make $600,000 that quickly. But they're planning on making an all web-based Reading Rainbow website where it's like all these educational resources for classrooms and for the home. I think it's actually really cool. And my wife is an educator. She thought it was great.
Yeah, and they look like they're doing it in a very decent way, because a lot of times what people don't realize is that Kickstarter, you kind of have to pledge money and stuff, and in a way, you got to have that disposable income in order to support these Kickstarters. But the whole point of Reading Rainbow was mainly to help those that were maybe underprivileged in order to have access to good content that'll help somebody read. So what they're actually doing is that they're going to offer Reading Rainbow for free in classrooms.
That's actually great. Yeah.
Because the way it's going to work now is it'll end up being like a subscription where you pay, $8 to $10 per month to have access to the library of Reading Rainbow.
Is that what they're planning on doing currently?
Yeah. When they launch this thing, it's going to be a subscription where you pay a certain fee each month.
Yeah.
But it's really cool, some of the stuff that they're offering, though. One of the things I would love to do is that if you pledge $10,000, you will get Geordi LaForge's visor straight from the set of Star Trek.
Oh, for 10,
how
10
cool is that?
You get to keep it. You get to keep it.
Yeah.
How many of them do they have? Just one?
I don't know. I didn't look at it specifically. I was just reading the article and it said that you can get the visor that Geordi LaForge wears in Star Trek.
I'm curious.
Which is really cool.
I'm curious if it's like the original visor. The original one.
It might not be an original visor, but it will be a visor that he wore.
I think that's really cool.
During the filming of Star Trek.
I was a huge Next Generation fan. In my opinion, that was the best Star Trek that existed out of the series. Probably out of the movies, it was probably the best movie that they had. Also, the Next Generation franchise. So listen, anything Next Generation, I'm a fan of, and I think this is actually a great service. This is actually something that I would fund, even though I would never really use the service.
Right.
Because there's something behind it.
Cause, and it's very nostalgic. So not only are you supporting something that's part of your childhood, it'll keep on giving to other people as well.
You know what gets really annoying? I start getting text messages from people that know that I'm doing a show, and they write, "Hey, I see you doing a show.
Why don't you just turn off your phone?"
I don't know, because
turn off your phone.
I don't understand why people do that.
Turn off your phone.
Hey, I'm watching you. That was the message that I just got. Hey, I'm watching you. So annoying. Let's talk about this for a little bit. Apple has officially acquired Beats, the electronic headset company. They make headphones, very expensive headphones, and they bought them for $3 billion. Now,
Jeez.
Dr. Dre was one of the main people behind it. This was an acqui-hire, according to Apple. For $3 billion, they bought this headset company. And, here's the fascinating thing, okay? There's nothing in the technology that Beats is using that's proprietary. They just make headphones. There's nothing special about the headphones.
They paid about $500 million for Beats headphones, that division. And then the rest, the other $2.5 billion, they paid for their music service and Jimmy Iovine and Dr. Dre. They said they mainly want them for their talent and the subscription music service that they have.
Jimmy Iovine will probably become he'll probably work.
Well, they're
for Apple.
both going to become executives under Eddie Q.
Yeah, but I think Dr. Dre is going to become more of like an ambassador to the company.
He's always been kind of an ambassador, period. So
You know, like I don't think Dr. Dre's going to have any of the day-to-day business decisions at Apple.
The real reason why Apple wants them is for their subscription music service, and the fact that Jimmy Iovine and Dr. Dre have these connections to Hollywood that Apple desperately wants, because so much of offering content and media these days is just having networking connections and the ability to negotiate with other companies that have the copyright license for this content that you want to offer.
Do you think they're going to do anything with the actual? So, I mean, if you really look at it, so the purchase was to buy those two people. They bought two people for the company.
Yeah, and they said that they could have built their own subscription music service and whatnot, but they said that why buy it when we can already why make our own when we can just buy what we think is already a great subscription music service.
I mean, listen, Jimmy Iovine is really respected in the music business. He co-founded Interscope Records. He goes way back with Dr. Dre. I mean, when Dr. Dre was signed under Interscope. This is a guy that, you know, made a lot of money in the music business. He comes from a blue-collar family in Brooklyn. He's a fascinating guy, and he's a very intelligent guy. So I think something like that will be really beneficial for Apple and Apple Music and for iTunes to continue with their relationships, because that's the whole thing. Like you were saying, Apple has had a very difficult time penetrating the music business because they were the first ones to offer downloadable content to the masses that was legitimate. The music company didn't really like that. None of them really liked it. They ended up having to like it because that's where the world was headed. Nobody was buying physical media anymore, so they appreciated Apple after that. But for someone like, Apple to want to do dealings with the movie industry and the music business, you need someone that has the connections, and who better than
you need the insider?
Yeah, who better than those two?
Absolutely. This kind of future-proofs iTunes in a way, and kind of gives it some new life, I think. And I think this will definitely be a turning point in the next, I think, year or two. We're definitely going to see a lot of changes and a lot of Jimmy Iovine influence in iTunes and music in general coming from Apple.
You know, here's the other part of this, okay? I was reading a story a couple months ago, and they were saying how Apple still has a huge, market share of the smartphone market, but kids are now attracted to Android because of the larger screen, because of the customization. You can do so much to it. So you can pretty much make it look as ugly as you want, and that's kind of what kids like to do. Is this a way for Apple to entice, the teenagers, the younger generation to come back to Apple? They're going to be doing a larger screen in the next phone. We know that. But what if every iPhone came with Beats headphones? It was Beats branded. It used Beats technology.
Really care?
You know what, John? Those headphones, even the little earbuds, are still $100 and something bucks.
Yeah,
I
those. Think that's ridiculous.
They're decent headphones. I'm not saying anything bad about the headphone. They're a little bassy for me. That's fine, but they're probably worth a good $100. They're $100 headphones, and they're selling them for $300 or $400, and people are buying them because they look pretty. Isn't that Apple's whole thing? Isn't it aesthetics over anything else? I mean, that's Apple's business practice.
They don't need Beats to do that.
They don't, but
I don't think any of this has anything to do with the cosmetics.
You don't think it's
products?
I think that
Apple is very capable of doing that on their own.
They are, but it's a hip brand that sells well to the demo that they need. So why not?
I think
why not acquire them?
It's in the fact that they only paid $500 million for the Beats products division.
Yeah, listen. I think it was like a 2-for-1 for them.
Mainly for Iovine and Dr. Dre.
Yeah, no. What I'm saying is, it was a bonus for them to get Beats, but I'm thinking for the future, what are they going to do with the Beats brand? Are they going to have it as its own entity, or are they going to bring it into the Apple brand? I think they're going to bring it into the Apple brand.
Well, they're definitely going to probably bring it into the Apple brand, but for time right now is that they're not going to do anything with them, because we already have HP that's really huge into Beats music, and they already have a bunch of products lined up through 2015 that they're going to have the Beats brand with.
Yeah. I mean, I could just see.
Unless
see
Apple
doing
changes
it.
its mind. I mean, that could happen, but if I was HP, I'd be a little bit worried about this.
Oh yeah, because in 2015 that brand. But were people buying HP for Beats? I don't know. I
think some people did.
Probably.
I mean, it had that more. It was a marketing ploy for people to get HP.
And Apple's going to do it. Listen, Apple's going to come out there and they're going to say, and today we're announcing that the new iPads have stereo sound provided by Beats, and the MacBook Air has Beats audio integration, and the new iMac has Beats audio integration. Look at this beautiful sound bar on the bottom that's inside of the screen, and they're going to do this like a 40-minute thing about how they're putting a $50 speaker inside of your computer, like a $20 speaker, and sell it as if it's gold. I mean, I could just see Apple doing it. It fits everything perfectly. You're going to talk about the contour of the cushioning.
Will love it.
They're going to come out and be like,
the audience is going to love that.
Yeah, they're going to say, and today we're also unveiling.
Oh, yeah.
We're also unveiling the new Beats headphone. Look at the contour and the cushioning. The cushion has 40 million microbes of insulation to prevent your ears from being damaged. And they're going to go on this huge thing. It's going to be amazing. It's going to make everybody want it better.
In all seriousness, though, I think this is a pretty good acquisition for Apple because
I think so.
It'll if they manage it right and utilize it correctly, I think it'll be a big asset for them.
Yeah,
I mean, yes, they could squander it and just be like, "Oh, now we have everything that's Beats branded."
But in all seriousness, do you think they're
I
going
think that would
to?
be a waste.
Do you think they're going to sell the Beats brand? Ooh, what happened here? I broke something, John. I'm sorry.
Get that off my
I
screen.
don't know what happened there. Do you think they're going to
Move the mouse away from my screen.
My God, what's going on here?
There you go.
There you go. Sorry. Do you
Pay
think?
attention.
Do you think they're going to focus on the Beats brand, or is it something that's going to disappear over time and just going to be integrated in Apple?
That's a good question, and I don't know that anybody really knows that. I think eventually they probably will. I mean, again, judging by the fact that they only paid $500 million for that particular part of Beats Electronics.
Yeah.
That's something that they don't value nearly as much as they do Iveen and Dr. Dre. And even their music subscription service, they value more than the Beats devices.
Yeah. Some more Apple news, so we'll stick with the theme. Since Monday's WWDC, by the way, guys. Monday
we'll be broadcasting live.
We will
starting at 1 p.m. Correct?
I think we'll be on a little before, but officially the coverage begins at 1 o'clock. It's going to be you, myself, and I think Combs. Combs may be joining us.
Sweet.
Yeah, so we'll have a three-man team here evaluating and discussing a panel of experts in Apple products. Mike Phillips is a huge Apple fan. He's going to be here. Going to be talking about the latest Apple gear. It's going to be fun. And some of the things that we're anticipating this year is home automation and health monitoring. The home automation stuff came out late last week. They were saying that the crew at Cupertino is going to unveil a smart home platform at WWDC to kickstart next week. While there aren't many details, approximately they are reporting that's going to play a big role in your house lights and your switches and everything else coming. It's going to be controlled by the iPhone. Now, here's... I don't expect there to be this Apple line of products for the home, okay? What I expect them to unveil is some sort of standard to follow, for manufacturers to follow, to incorporate into the iPhone. It's going to be exactly. It's going to be a certification. It's not sexy at all. I think the blogs are making it a lot more sexier than it is, but it's going to be some sort of certification that developers and product manufacturers could follow to fit the Apple criteria and for it to be controlled by Apple. Great.
Right. I would love to see actual home automation integrated into iOS, not just products that are certified for Apple.
Okay, so
I think really, honestly, I'd be pretty disappointed by that.
So what would you like to see?
I know that's all I should expect.
No. What would you like to see, though?
Disappointing.
What would you like to see? Like, if you could if it was
I'd love
something you
see
want to see.
controls built in.
But how are you controlling the lights?
Bluetooth.
So you need to get Bluetooth lights.
Well, look, here's the thing: is if all they're doing is certifying products for use with
iOS.
your iPhone or iOS device, I think that's kind of lame. I think there needs to be, if they do more of a focus on actually integrating that into your device and the certification, I think that would be cool.
So
if it's just a certification, I think that's really lame. It has to be. They actually have to put some amount of focus on how it's going to work with your device.
Okay, so let's talk about, because I try to explain this to people, and it's a concept that, like, they're like, oh yeah, I would love to control my iPhone, but they don't understand the expense and they don't understand the add-ons that they need to get. Let's talk about this room, for example. My bedroom, simple. It's a simple room, right? Got a TV, got a light, got two nightstands with 2 lights on there. I got another stand-up light in there, a bathroom, a hallway light, nothing crazy. So how do I automate that room if I want to control the lighting in my room? Well, you need to have an adapter on every outlet that is connected to a light, to a fixture, to one of the lights. Now, how do you control the fixture? You got to open it up. You got to install something in between the electric and the fixture, and that's going to be controlled. There's going to be a lot of wiring to be done. So if you have 1, 2, in my bedroom alone, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 outlets in my bedroom. And then plus each one has something plugged into it. So that's 12. I have 12 outlets plus 1 overhead light. So that's 13. I have to have 13 whatevers to control the lights in one room.
Mm-hmm.
Probably these devices.
I don't think most people do more than a couple lights, though.
You don't think people are wiring their entire, room?
No, I don't think so. I don't think they're gonna have those things on every single outlet in their home or every single outlet in a room.
But see,
I think they're gonna do a couple in maybe a room here and a room there.
Yeah. The other thing that people should think is really cool is the fact that, since Apple's doing this home automation, it's also going to be able to give you statistics on how much electricity you're using, how many kilowatts you're using, and what's using more kilowatts, and what appliance is connected to it, and what appliance could you replace it with. These statistics are actually really cool. Like, I'm a stats junkie, and I love this stuff. And I would love to see, how I could bring my electric bill down. I mean, in my house.
Here's why I'm saying it's going to be disappointing if it's just certification, because they're tying this in with iOS 8. If it's just a certification, that really doesn't have anything to do with iOS 8. If they're doing some sort of special integration for these products in iOS 8, then that's something I think that could be exciting.
No, see, I think they're going to have an application.
Simply a certification where Apple says, okay, yeah, we agree that your product works great with our devices, and we're going to let you use our logo on your packaging.
No, see, I think
if that's all it is, that's disappointing.
It's a little more than that, John. I think it's just going to be a tiny bit more than that, where it's going to be, the certification, but it's also going to be certified to run in their iOS smart home monitoring system. Whatever's application is integrated in that.
I think if it integrates with the notification, the new control panel that they have in iOS 7, I think that would be pretty cool.
I mean, wouldn't it be cool, John? You leave your house, and then in like 15 minutes, because of GPS, your iPhone says, hey, John, you left your house, and you left your lights on. Do you want me to turn it off?
Yeah.
That's cool.
If they can do stuff like that, I think that would be very cool.
Yeah, I just think people are going to be a little disappointed.
It's got to be more than what you can get now.
Yeah.
With the products that are out now and the applications that it comes with. It's got to offer something more than what you can do now. Because really, if you're just certifying it, that doesn't really change anything other than now that packaging has the Apple logo on it. And Apple says, oh, yeah, we agree with this product.
Yeah. The other thing that was interesting in the story that kind of got lost in the shuffle, Google owns Nest. And something like Nest is a very Apple-like product. It's the guy that designed the iPod. Something like that would be great to integrate into iOS and whatever you're doing. But here's the cool part, okay? Dropbox, not Dropbox, I'm sorry, Dropcam has been rumored to have be potentially on the market, and Google and Apple are the two that are really interested in that could be in a potential bidding war over this. Something like that, I could see perfectly integrating with iOS. Something, you have this drop
What
cam.
would they use it for?
Home monitoring. I mean, it fits the model, right? It's home automation. It's everything. So why not? You turn the lights on, you turn the lights off. You see how much electricity is being taken up by the monitor and the TV and all this stuff.
But it's almost like what you and Paul were saying a couple of weeks ago on What the Tech. A lot of this is about the ecosystem. If you can create the ecosystem, that's great. It's all about the ecosystem. If it's just a certification, if it's just, hey, yeah, we recommend these products, that's not really an ecosystem.
I think we have
you got to have the software to go along with the products.
Yeah.
If there's no integration of either of those two things beyond what we have today, it's just not going to be exciting.
And John, here's the crazy part. These things are expensive. When you talk about home automation, first of all, this concept of home automation that we have from the 1950s, where you tell George Jetson, listen, I love that stuff. I know you love it too, and I love it too. We both love this crazy sci-fi world, this home of the future thing. But for me, like this George Jetson type mentality where you're like, hey, coffee machine, make me coffee, and the coffee machine says okay, that's not going to happen. But something like the lights, having every light, every computer, everything that you have that is electrical in your house, having some sort of adapter to it that you can monitor is a great thing.
And the NSA.
The NSA too. The only way that will work is if these devices, these add-ons, these whatevers they are, they're inexpensive. And I'm saying sub $15.
I don't necessarily agree with that, because look at the type of people that Apple sells stuff to. They are a premium brand. They're already charging you more than most other manufacturers for electronic devices. These are the type of people that are willing to spend extra money for this home automation stuff as it is now.
I mean, John, X10 has been trying this.
They're not concerned about it.
X10 has been doing this for 20 years, and it has not worked.
No. X10 is really crap.
I mean, I had X10 in 1996.
Those things are really bad, though.
Oh, it's always been bad. It never got good.
I think some of the newer stuff out there, the Belkin Wemos are kind of cool. Coleman's talked about that before and really loves that stuff. But, I mean, he's also in that demographic where it's these people that don't mind spending that kind of money for home automation. And I think that fits very much in line with Apple's demographic. I don't think there's any sort of concern here at all about the cost of home automation today when it comes to what Apple wants to do.
What would you like to do? Like if Apple were to unveil something, like what would it be? Like forget about the certification. Like what do you want them to unveil? Like a kit? Like a home automation kit?
I don't think they need a kit. I think where it stands today is that some of the stuff it's just making all these products work together very well with whatever smartphone device that you have. Yeah, I think that's what it comes down to.
Sure. The other story was, obviously this is not going to be the big unveil, but another thing that they were talking about with iOS 8 is the iHealth, the health monitoring, the Health Play, Health Go, whatever they're going to call it. Their health integration, the health monitoring integration in iOS 8. That is something I'm really interested in. For many of you watching, you may have noticed I've gotten very thin. I've lost about 34 pounds, and I've really gotten into fitness.
You're anorexic now.
Yeah,
You've been throwing up because you have bulimia.
Here, look, I could shake my chest. You see that?
Nobody cares about that. This is
what I'm doing?
News.
I'm shaking my chest. It looks really nice.
All right, I'm leaving.
Oh, sorry, John. Sorry. I was trying to hypnotize you like that guy that's in the commercials that does them. Terry Owens.
Terry Crews.
Terry Crews. There you go. I'm still far away from doing that. But the iHealth stuff is cool because I would love to know, how many calories I burned today. And obviously, listen, there are applications that do that. There are tons of stuff that do that. Samsung does that. But this may be enough for me between the larger screen, the home automation, and the iHealth. I may jump over to Apple. And I'm someone that has said, I don't want an iPhone because I'm already engulfed in the iOS experience. I want to stay away. But these are things that I could use. The iHealth stuff.
Yeah, they could amplify these experiences.
Absolutely. And you're going to get a decent UI. It's going to look good. It's probably going to work exactly like how everything else works, but they're going to have
It
integration.
ties you
That's
into
what
the
matters.
Apple ecosystem,
Yeah, exactly.
which is exactly what they want.
Um, but here's this part. What those demos that we saw? Remember those sketches that we saw of what it's going to look like?
No.
A couple months ago, we got these. I think it was 9 to 5 Mac or Mac Rumors resketched exactly, like they remade exactly the leaked images that they got, so it prevents, everybody finding out like who the leak is. And it was really pretty, but there were a couple things that were a little off. Like, how is it had blood sugar monitoring, it had O2 monitoring, your oxygen level monitoring. There were a lot of these things that a phone is not capable of. Your phone is not going to be able to give you, prick your finger and test your blood to see where your blood sugar is at for people suffering from diabetes. It's not going to be able to, you're not going to look at your phone and it's not going to say, oh, your oxygen, your O2 levels are pretty low. You should relax and, breathe a little bit. It's not going to be able to do that. So these are going to require add-ons. Another thing you're going to need. So maybe there's going to be a kit where you could test all these things. This is cool for people that are really into it. Again, statistics. But I don't think it's going to be the phone that's going to do it. I think, again, this is going to be some sort of certification to be integrated in their software.
I think that would be a wrong approach because you really want to tie people into an ecosystem and your experience. And just a certification process, I don't think really does that.
I'm trying to see their health
Saying
integration.
something is certified for use with Apple devices really doesn't change things.
Okay.
We already have devices that work very well with Apple products.
Yeah, it's actually called HealthBook.
So saying something's certified really doesn't do anything. It's nothing to be excited over. However, if they offer some sort of, if they further that experience more with what they offer, I think that's something to get excited about.
So here's the sketch. It's a mock-up of exactly what HealthBook will look like. This is on Gotta Be Mobile. 9 to 5 Mac is the one who did the sketch, but you can see it does blood work. How does it know your blood work? You got to put that. Heart rate, that's easy. Hydration, how would it know if you're hydrated? Blood pressure, okay, I could see it knowing that. Activity, you got to put in, it counts your steps. Nutrition.
But this is probably going to be some extra device that you have to buy in addition to your iOS device.
Yeah, like, look, O2 saturation and respiratory rate. These are things
what if this is another device that you have to pay, $99 or $199 for? Are you still going to be interested in that?
You know what? I don't think Apple's going to sell it. I think that this is just open for whoever's manufacturing these, healthcare products for phone integration.
I don't know that that's the right way to go. I really don't, because I think it needs to be the Apple experience. And I don't think that these devices necessarily bring that Apple experience.
No.
And I think what people really want is that Apple experience.
Yeah, I mean, it's a cool concept, but I don't know how it's going to work out, really. I really don't know.
I mean, Passbook, as far as I'm concerned, is an utter failure right now. Who uses Passbook?
Yeah. Well, also, I mean, they haven't spoken about it.
No. Passbook is dead.
Yeah. Someone said that they have a Kickstarter for this, and it's $199 for pre-order. Matthew Johnson in our chat room. Can you post a link? I'd like to see it. Yeah. John, why don't you go into a story?
Let me bring up my notes here and take a look. So this is something that might apply to us. YouTube will soon let you crowdfund projects directly on the site. A lot of us podcasters now have turned to Patreon and Kickstarter and Indiegogo in order to help fund our podcast and what it is that we do. Yeah. And now it seems like YouTube kind of wants a cut of that. They don't want people going over to Kickstarter to crowdfund their podcast and their broadcasting needs. So what they're going to do is they're going to have their latest effort is a create a preview video teasing upcoming features inspired by the feedback of channel owners. So this is basically them listening to us saying that we want to do crowdfunding directly on YouTube.
And they're going to take a nice cut from it.
Google, because, yeah, exactly. They can get their hands in more money now.
Yeah, and why let that money go away? I don't think this is a bad thing. I think a lot of people, I was reading on when the story came out last week, a lot of people were saying, well, oh, look, YouTube is trying to kill another business, and they're trying to do this, and they're trying to do that. Listen, I think this is great. Why not have it in your ecosystem? As a content creator, it's much easier to get people to give you money on the platform that you're on rather than have them leave and go somewhere else. Patreon works great. Listen, Patreon is phenomenal, but it's flawed. There's a couple flaws in it that you have to have people leave your ecosystem to go there to view the content or whatever, but it's better than having them do PayPal because that's a lot of work for you.
Yeah.
If I was on Google,
you could combine somewhat of a YouTube and a Patreon. I think that would be kind of cool.
That'd be great. That'd be phenomenal. Unfortunately, we're not really YouTube friendly. We're not the content that people consume on YouTube. I watched an insane video of two Spanish guys doing a fusion dance from Dragon Ball Z today.
That's awesome.
Did you see the video?
No.
It has 400,000 views. The thing is the most insane thing I've ever seen. This guy shows up with whipped cream all over his face, and he's wearing underwear, and he starts acting like a crazy person. I watched it like, John, 7-8 times in a row. It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. 400,000 views. I mean, that's how people use YouTube. But I think this is great. They're listening to people, and that's a good thing. I mean, that's what you want.
Yeah, and they're also going to be able to let you crowdfund captions and subtitles, soon to be crowdsourced for 60+ languages.
Yeah.
That'll be kind of cool so that you can get captions and subtitles for whatever it is that you're posting on YouTube.
You know what was interesting? I saw it this week to move on to another story. But before we do, hey, a little plug here. I save it to the end, but I'm going to try to incorporate it in the middle of the show. If you want to support the GFQ Network, you want to support this show, you want to help us out in some way, we don't really ask for much. We don't bombard you with ads. We try to keep this as ad-free as possible. It gets really overwhelming at times when we're doing like 50 live reads during a 1-hour show. So there's two things that we do here at the network right now. We have our Amazon link. If you want to support us, you want to help us out, you want us to do upgrades. People always ask, like, how can we help you upgrade your studio? And people always ask, are you going to do more cameras? Are you going to add more stuff to the network? There's two ways you could do that. One is by using our Amazon link. Every time you buy something on Amazon, it doesn't cost you extra. We get a tiny little percentage from that sale between, maybe a couple percent here and there. But at the end of the month, it really builds up, and it could be, anywhere from a couple $100 to, during the holidays, a couple grand, actually, which is unbelievable. Whenever we take that money, we don't put it in our pocket. We just reinvest it back into Amazon, and every time we need to do an upgrade in the studio, we use that to fund the upgrades. Lighting. We just added more lights to the side here. I needed to get a new monitor because the monitor went bad. We got a new camera, green screen, tripods. Also, all the upgrades, something that I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be mounting the cameras to the ceiling. And I found these they're expensive, but they're these crazy mounts where they come down and they're totally adjustable in every possible way. And it would totally eliminate all these tripods hanging around in the studio. I mean, it's crazy how much room gets taken up. So whenever you buy something, you could go to gfq.co/Amazon, or if you're on the GFQ Network website, we have a little Amazon banner on the top. Click on that and bookmark it. Put it in your, favorites, however you use your browser, and click on that every time you go to Amazon. We get a tiny little percentage from every sale. Also, we have a Patreon. We were talking about Patreon. We were talking about crowdfunding. We have a Patreon for What the Tech, but you can fund it if you like the show. We haven't started one for the network yet. We're just doing everything on for What the Tech, but it's good enough. All the money comes in. Hold on. People are screaming during my live read. Every time you
like Joe, you gotta yell like Joe.
I
You're
can't
on
even.
The air.
I don't know. What does he say?
I'm on the air.
I'm on the air. A gerbil's a very aggressive animal. Was it a gerbil?
I think it was a
guinea pig. A guinea pig is a very aggressive animal. But if you want to,
please feed the gerbil.
Yeah, could you please feed the guinea pig? If you want to help us out, you want to fund the show, you could do so by going to patreon.com/whatthetech. All we ask is $1. You could fund, you could give less than $1, or you could give up to $5. We ask for $5 too. There are plenty of people giving $5 an episode. And we give you a little bonus show. So we
also promise not to sick any aggressive animals on you.
Yeah, we won't have gerbils attacking you and guinea pigs attacking you. I can't believe I've never heard a man say a guinea pig is a very aggressive animal. I've never heard anybody actually reference a guinea pig as an aggressive animal. But Joe from Staten Island, he thinks guinea pigs are really aggressive. And, you know, 90% of our audience has no idea who we're talking about. Not a clue. I just realized
That's
that.
what they're missing by not watching the free-for-all at Ball Truth.
Yeah, you should watch the Ball Truth and the free-for-all.
Sunday nights at 8 p.m. or Tuesday nights at 8 p.m., whenever it is.
Yeah. Let's regroup here. Jeez. The ether's pumping in the studio today. My wife came home. She just turned that valve on, just seeping in. It's like the Bugs Bunny cartoon. There's a hole on the top of the studio, and it's just green mist coming in. Amazon Prime to launch a streaming music service this summer. Everybody's getting into the same game. I mean,
this is according to BuzzFeed, so I'm not sure how much weight we should put into this.
I mean, listen, wouldn't you trust the website that does top 20 lists all day long?
Yes.
Top 20 ways that you're a 90s girl. Top 20 things a 20-year-old does.
This is really stupid the way they describe how this is going to work. They said that this will be offered for Prime memberships, which include a stockpile of old and newish music for subscribers to stream on demand. Unlike Spotify, RDO, or Beats Music, Amazon's streaming service won't include new titles. Instead, it will offer, quote, a potluck of select songs and albums it has licensed from labels at a discount. To be included in the service, the songs and albums must be at least 6 months old.
Interesting. So it's going to be... so you're making
I'm
sure
not sure that I'd be interested in that.
I don't know. Who's using these services? Who's doing it? I don't know who's using
Pandora.
I use Pandora too. I use I'm not.
I love Pandora.
I like Spotify, but how many of these do you need? All of them? I have iTunes Match, iTunes Radio, whatever the hell it's called, and I'm happy with it. You don't need 50 of them. This is getting
everybody
too much.
wants their own service.
Too
Everybody
much.
Wants a cut of the service.
Too much. I'm not a fan of it. Something, you know, you're talking about service, and we've spoken about this on how, you know, there's all these set-top boxes now. Everybody has their own integration. Everybody has their ecosystem. But a trend that we have seen recently is that a lot of these networks, a lot of these cable television shows are leaving and going to the cloud. Netflix has been a huge success. Hulu's been okay. Amazon Prime has been successful. And now we're seeing individual brands like Showtime is available, HBO Go, and obviously they're going to have their own subscription, you know, soon for those services. You don't have to be tied down to the cable companies. But we saw something happen, interestingly, a couple months ago, and from a very untech company, and that's a WWE. They launched a WWE network, and it's been doing tremendous. You know, there's some stories saying that they're not doing well, but they're at around 700 and 750,000 subscribers currently. Their goal was 1 million by the end of the year, which they'll hit. But they are offering their entire catalog of pay-per-views. They're adding archive shows. They have a lot of specials on this. So there's a lot of content being developed for there. And I was thinking, you know, this will be great if all the other networks launch it. We've seen it with MLB. We're seeing it now happen slowly with everything else. And the NFL announced their online network is coming to Roku, Kindle Fire, and Kindle Fire TV soon. So the NFL is going to be doing the same exact thing now. And it's great.
It's a huge market.
It's also, by the way, currently it's been on Microsoft and some other platforms and iOS. But this is where this is headed. If I'm a football fan, I would much rather just pay the NFL and just watch my games.
Yeah.
I mean, why wouldn't I? Why would I care to watch it on cable? This is the beginning of the end of the cable business. I mean, once you lose major brands like the NFL and NBA and NHL and MLB, really, there's nothing else keeping you to the service. The sports are
there's
still
people that want to watch the Real Housewives stuff.
I guess so, right? Because that's bogged down on Bravo.
House Hunters.
But really, these are DVR-proof shows, and that is a rarity in cable, and they're really valuable. If your show is DVR-proof, like wrestling is DVR-proof, live sports is DVR-proof. Nobody cares to watch, and I'm sure I'm going to get an email saying, like, actually, Andrew, I watch all my sports on DVR. You're the minority. You're the exception here. But nobody wants to watch sporting events on DVR. How many people do you
No.
think watched the Super Bowl after it happened? Not many.
People that weren't able to see it live.
Due to some crazy circumstance. But if you're a football fan, you're watching the Super Bowl live. That's who's watching it. The NFL Network, why would I mean, the NFL a couple years ago, they gave away the Super Bowl online, right? It was free.
Yeah.
They've been doing it. I mean, that's tremendous. That's really tremendous. This is a
Think about
major
how many
shift.
people they can get to their website by doing that.
Yeah. I mean, it's a major shift, John. I'm really excited for something like this. By the way, Matthew in our chat room just gave me the link. The thing is called
Cue me.
Q.me, and it tracks your health. So it's this little box with all these different things that, test everything. Track via Bluetooth. I'm trying to see what it actually does. It does fertility. You could check if you're fertile.
Woohoo!
You could do testosterone. You can see your testosterone levels, which is actually pretty cool. It's $199. They're pre-ordering now. So it does testosterone, it does fertility, it does inflammation, vitamin D, influenza, some of the stuff that you could test for. This is actually, it's going to say flu detected. Wow, that's actually really cool. It's going to be able to detect where the flu is based on people using it. It's going to crowdsource it. I think something like this is really cool. It's a little scary, but it's pretty cool.
To have your information out there like that.
What is inflammation test?
Who's got access to that?
What is inflammation test? I don't understand what it would... Use a deep health tracker. I'm reading that right. Yeah, it's inflammation. I don't know what inflammation would test for. Yeah, I don't know. But, so people are working on this stuff. John, you want to do one more story and we'll do our picks?
Yeah, I want to talk about this TrueCrypt story because that's been a lot of buzz as of the last 24 hours.
Yeah, big deal.
Are
you use TrueCrypt? Are you a user?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
For those that don't know, TrueCrypt is a program to encrypt data on your hard drive and even your entire hard drive. It's a lot like Microsoft's BitLocker. A lot of people now in the past 24 hours, when you go to their website, it just has a message saying that TrueCrypt is not secure and recommends that you switch to Microsoft's BitLocker.
Yeah.
For the first probably 12 hours, nobody knew really why this message was up there because they were also running audits on this software. And apparently the software had been passing all these independent audits to make sure that it's secure. So having this message saying that it was not secure was very alarming and very strange. And people were trying to figure out why this message is on the website and so on. But as it turns out, according to Reuters, who had talked to a developer of TrueCrypt, they confirmed that it had been shut down out of boredom. Security researcher Steve Gibson said that after 10 years of work, the developers simply got tired of the project.
Yeah, this is a big hit. I know plenty of people that have been using TrueCrypt. Obviously, there's a lot of other stuff that you could use. Obviously, BitLocker, if you have Windows 7 Ultimate, Discryptor, Windows 8 as well, Discryptor for the Mac, FileVault 2, which I have FileVault, but I never use. There are other options, but many people have been using TrueCrypt for many, many years. It's a big hit, actually, to...
There was a huge explosion of people wondering what was going on social media, Twitter and Facebook, when this message first started popping up on the website.
Yeah.
They were like, maybe they got hacked. Unfortunately, as it turns out, the developers just got tired of it.
Yeah. They just got tired.
Very strange. I mean, for a product that's been out for so long and has done so well, for the developers to say, we're done.
I think that happens to many people. They get tired of working and working and working, and they finish. I mean,
I'm not wondering whether or not somebody's going to pick up this project and continue with it. I mean, that would be great if they did.
It's possible someone might, because it's 10 years in. I mean, they've been working on stuff for a decade.
And it's as far as we can tell, it's passed all the security audits that it's ever been through.
And it's a much better software than BitLocker, I'll tell you that. Much better.
Sure.
There was another story. So here's one quick story, and then we'll go in our picks of the week. Listen, something we forget about the Apple thing. Maybe we're going to get some sort of information on the iWatch.
Ugh.
There was some sort of
Unlikely.
quote from Tim Cook, and he said, for the 20-something years he's been at Apple, this is the coolest lineup of products they've ever had. It's kind of alluding to stuff that's going to be happening. And, let's see. But Microsoft is working on a smartwatch of their own. According to Forbes, with Connect Engineer even pitching in this project. The unannounced device will reportedly collect health data day and night. It'll give you a heart rate, and it'll work on Android, iOS, and Windows Phone alike. It's going to sport a similar design to the Gear Fit. By the way, Michael Manna did a review of that Gear Fit. I actually think it's not bad. It's an early device. Next generation, I'm really curious to see how well this thing works, because it's out of all those stupid iWatches that are out there, this is actually the coolest one. I would actually get this.
Of course you would.
I would. I'm a
So
big
you like
health
to spend
buff.
hundreds of dollars on stuff that barely does anything.
John, I want to know how many steps I took today, okay? I want to know. I
So
want my
you get
device.
a pedometer.
I
$10.
I want my watch to tell me, Andrew, you took 989 steps. You need to take another 4,000. Why
you
can't I
gotta
have
watch
that?
it. I'll tell you that. It's called your phone.
My phone could do that, yes. But it's not as cool as having another stupid device on you.
That costs $200.
That costs $200. Yeah. Oh, God. John, why don't we do our picks of the week? What do you think?
Yep.
This is the
do
part
it.
of the show where we talk about a product, a website, anything that comes to mind that we kind of like, a service. This week, I picked something that people that are into video production, podcasters are into. I get asked a lot what tripods I use here in the studio. And I'm actually embarrassed to say that I use pretty crappy ones. My main one has always been a good one. I spent about $70 at the time, and I got it. And it has 3 access points, so you could go up and down, side to side, left and right, so you could do all of that. But the other 2 tripods that I have, one is not even a tripod. It just I've taped the camera to it, which I just replaced. And the other one is like a $20 tripod I got from, I guess, Amazon. And it only has 1 access point. Actually, 2. It does side to side. It does up and down, I'm sorry. And it does, you could turn in a circle.
Pan.
Yeah, you could pan, but you can't do side to side. You could do up and down. And that's kind of stupid. And if you don't have a leveled floor, it's going to be very difficult for you to level this thing. Rather than, just leveling it out and making the camera even. I recently ordered a new tripod, and I got this one right here. I'm going to put it up here. I don't know if you see this. It is a really, this thing is, first of all, it's aluminum. It's a heavy tripod, 66-inch. Ravelli makes it. It's the Ravelli APG L3 tripod. John, I just set this thing up. It is really, I've never
Solid?
seen. Oh my God, like a big problem that we have in the studio, and if you watch the GFK network, you always see when Coco is fitting through, or like a big guy is moving into the studio, he knocks over this freaking thing every time. Like the tripod gets moved, and I got to get up. I'm like, and I got to realign this thing every time. This thing, you can't make this thing budge. It is crazy, crazy sturdy. The thing is so heavy, and the legs are not just like these rubber legs. They actually adjust to the floor, so they move.
Cool.
It is really cool. I just set it up. It took me a little bit to set it up because I had to, readjust everything. But I set it up here, and I have my other tripod. But, $79, you're getting a really, really high-end tripod. And it comes with, let me see here. You could adjust it in different ways. So you could, hear all the shots. You could get it on Amazon, obviously. The best place to get it because we get a little credit from it. It's like $79 right now. But it's a really good tripod. So that's my pick of the week. What do you think, John?
I like it.
Thank you. What's your pick of the week?
My pick of the week is a service. It's called Ramnode, and they offer virtual private servers, VPS. As you know, we recently started our own IRC server, and the first place we had our IRC server at was just really awful. Lots of downtime. It was just, It was down more than it was up.
Can I tell you
almost.
something, John? Sorry to cut into this, but I thought it was pretty relevant, and you'll never see this happen on Ramnode. The other company that we had our IRC server on, I got a private message on their server, and it was like a spam prostitution message. Isn't that something?
That's weird.
Isn't that weird? I got it yesterday.
So, about a little over a month ago, we switched over to Ramnode for our server. It was very easy, and our uptime now for the server, for our IRC server, is phenomenal. We've had almost 40 days now where it hasn't gone down once. Sure, they've had little blips here and there with their data center connection, but the server itself, the VPS, has been up for almost 40 days straight, unlike those other people that we were at before. They offer really great plans starting at $2 per month and $6 per month, which is very, very, very cheap. Instant setup, IPv4 and IPv6 support. They start out at RAID 10. They have SSD, so whatever you run is going to be fast. They have Intel Xeon CPUs. They offer templates for a lot of operating systems, CentOS, Ubuntu, Fedora, a lot of those awesome operating systems you can get that you expect from basically any VPS provider. You're going to be able to get that at.
And by the way, let me just say this. They are not an advertiser. They are not paying us. So just want to put it out there because we work with some hosting companies in the past, but these are not an advertiser at all. We actually pay them, and we're actually really satisfied.
They also offer free DNS hosting. So if you need to host your DNS for this, they have that as well, which is really great because sometimes you don't want your DNS at the same place as your domain registrar. So you want to separate stuff up, which is really cool. And their support is very good as well. They have an IRC channel that I've been hanging out in, and they usually have pretty good support there. But they also have great status updates. They're on Twitter, so anytime there's a problem, a lot of times you'll see their Twitter say DDoS in such and such status center or server mitigated. And they'll take care of problems usually within 10 to 15 minutes. The longest time I've ever seen them down for something is 30 minutes when they had a huge DDoS attack, which, you know, they do a very good job of mitigating those. But yes, every now and then they're going to have a large DDoS attack that nobody can really handle.
Same with anybody. Same with any other server or hosting company. Here's the other cool thing, John. They added a new location.
Absolutely.
And I have heard such great stuff about this. About New York.
Yeah.
Everybody. I mean, you were telling me when we switched over that, like you said, hey, New York is really fast, and everybody's saying like, oh my God, the New York server's so fast.
Yeah, currently we're in their Atlanta data center, but they also offer Netherlands and Seattle, and now New York City.
Are we moving over?
I don't think just yet. They did mention that they want people to wait a week before submitting requests to have their servers moved.
This is a great pick, John, and I'll tell you why. Because this is something that we actually spent a lot of time trying to find. And we tried to find someplace that's reliable, someplace that's going to work well, and unfortunately, we didn't go with them first. We went with another company, and they sucked. They were just awful. They were, I mean, just really, I have no idea how they're even functioning, why anybody uses their service. And you found Ramnode. I forgot who suggested Ramnode to you.
I think it was Sean.
Sean Callahan suggested Ramnode to you, and it's been unbelievable. I mean, this thing is great. I'm really glad that you found them.
Great prices, too. And you can almost always find a coupon. Right on their website, they have a 25% off VPS code. If you hang it on their IRC, you can normally find at least 33% off.
That's very cool. And again, guys,
so you don't necessarily always have to pay what the price is. You can usually find a really decent coupon, so you don't have to pay full price for it.
Yeah, and again, this is not a live read. They're not an advertiser. We're not taking any money. We're not doing a trade agreement with them. I just want to get it out there. This is actually a service that we use that we really like.
Yeah, I mean, we couldn't be happier at this moment with our service from Ramnode.
Yeah, and if they see this, thanks a lot for the good service.
Absolutely.
John is happy, and as long as John is happy, I'm happy, because he gets really worked up.
Yeah, I mean, it was really easy to set this up once you had it. And I wouldn't even call myself an expert.
Yeah. I have no idea how to do this stuff. I'm just here to look pretty.
So even if you're not very experienced with running your own VPS, they have a lot of articles on there that talk you through how to set up stuff, and it's very easy to use.
Yeah.
You can check them out at ramnode.com, by the way.
Yeah, ramnode.com is a website. And thank you for that pick, John. That was a really good pick. And that wraps it up for today, guys. Go to our website, gfqnetwork.com. You can subscribe to the podcast. You can subscribe to the video podcast and the audio podcast. Where everywhere podcasts are available, just search for Tech News Weekly. And I encourage you guys to subscribe because it really helps us out. You guys download it. More people listen. That's the best thing in the world. You can follow us on Twitter at GFQ Network. You can follow me at Andrews Aaron. Of course, John is at Suncast. He is the one and only Suncast on Twitter. We also have a Facebook page, Guys from Queens on Facebook. Yeah, facebook.com/Guys from Queens. Again, use our Amazon link, gfq.co/Amazon. If you want to support the network, you can do so by going to our Patreon, patreon.com/WhatTheTech. Am I forgetting anything, John?
I think that's pretty much it.
I think that's it. We'll see y'all next week on Tech News Weekly. Good night, everybody.